Hi everyone, as you guys can probably tell by the name of this video, I'm going to go over some of the more common traits of Asperger syndrome and autism in adults. Okay, so there's a wide range of different traits in Asperger syndrome and autism, affecting every single person differently, which is why, to start off with, I'm going to say it's a spectrum. It's a wide spectrum that affects every single person in such a unique way. But I would say one of the first things that I would probably look out for is anxiety. Not everybody, of course, but a lot of people on the spectrum can suffer from really, really extreme anxiety. So imagine sitting in a doctor's waiting room, waiting for your appointment, for your doctor to come out to, tell you that it's your turn to be seen. Imagine the anxiety that you're feeling at that moment in time, how difficult that will be for you. For someone with Asperger syndrome, that anxiety can be present constantly for every little thing that we do, and that can be something as such as going to the shop, seeing a friend, making a phone call, or an unexpected knock at the door. Anything that you like, one thing that may seem a small deal to you may be a really, really big deal for someone with Asperger's. I would also say so that's number one. So number two, another trait of Asperger's syndrome is routine. So we like to have things a certain way. Doesn't mean it's a defective way, it means it's different. So I like to wake up at the same time and do similar things. And if I don't, I can become pretty stressed out if things don't go my way. But what I tend to do now as an adult, which I feel really helps with that, is I plan my day. And I know, of course, if you're going to write something down, life is random. So there's no guarantee that things are going to happen when and where you plan it. So I tend to plan a plan A, B, and C. And if plan A doesn't work, I'll go straight towards plan B and plan C. So that way my routine can still be followed, because I know it's been so hard for us to maintain a routine throughout this period where there are so many changes going on in the world. But you're not alone. We can all go through that. Okay, so number three, I would say special interests. One thing about special interests that really does my head in pretty much is if someone that's not on the spectrum learns everything they can about a subject, they are called an expert. Whereas somebody with autism, if they learn everything they can about a subject, it's called an obsession or a special interest. So I think that should be seen as the same way. But I guess with a special interest, we can hyper focus on very specific things and make all of our lives revolve around that, regardless of whether someone else is interested or not. We'll probably still talk to you about it regardless. Another trait of Asperger's is sensory overload and sensory issues. They're two completely different things. Sensory issues are quite generalized. So you could have really sensitive hearing, sensitive to certain tastes with certain food that, certain textures, certain sight, smells, anything to do with the senses can be quite difficult for someone with Asperger's. But again, how it affects one person will affect another person completely differently. So the light bulb flickering in a class, again, may seem such a small thing to a neurotypical child or adult, but for us, that could be the end of the world. That could be a really severe thing for us to go through. So it's important to treat every single person uniquely, because we are all unique in our own way. So a sensory overload is different from pure sensory issues, because a sensory overload is where all of your senses combine and we become quite stressed out with all of the noise and everything that's going on around us, that we end up having a meltdown, which is the next autism / Asperger's trait I can think of, where it's an expression of anger, of stress, of feeling overwhelmed by our environment, which can be caused by change of routine, which can be caused by sensory overloads and other things that are going on in our lives. Living with autism isn't easy. We're living in a different world. We just need that acceptance so we can be who we are, without fail. So meltdown, there's a massive difference though between a meltdown and a temper tantrum, because with a temper tantrum, it's very goal focused. So I want, I want, I want, whereas a meltdown is very uncontrollable. So the person on the spectrum may get what they initially desired. So whether that's a toy or some food or something, as soon as they get what they've required, the meltdown will still continue. So the best thing to do in that case is to allow that person on the spectrum to take a step back, give them time to themselves, unless they're in danger, of course, then you'd need to intervene. But if you feel like they'd be safe by themselves, give them that time, let them calm down, and we'll come to you. Another trait I would say is recognizing sarcasm, body language, which is quite difficult for a lot of people, and I'm also one of those people. I like people just to say what they mean. And a lot of people see not understanding sarcasm and literal thinking and stuff as such a negative thing. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, this is just how I feel. Why can't people just say what they mean rather than hinting or pretending that we'd understand? Just come out with it. Just say how you feel. I feel like that's just a miscommunication on both parts that just needs to be resolved. But again, it's considered another trait. What else have we got? So routine, going back to routine and liking the same things, that can be clothing, liking to wear this, like wearing the same clothes over and over again, eating the same foods over and over again, like having certain rituals and things, which they can all tie into each other in a way. So the routine can tie in with a special interest, and if that doesn't go the way they want to, can tie into a sensory overload, can tie into a meltdown. But the most important thing I must say is when you meet one person on the spectrum, once you've met one person on the spectrum, then you've just met that one person. So please, please, please don't read a book or look at an internet article and think you know everything there is to know about someone on the spectrum, because we're all different. You can get like a general view of what autism and Asperger's is, but get to know the individual, and then you'll get to know their needs. So another trait is average to high intelligence, which most people with Asperger's have. So not everybody with Asperger's is going to be this really brainy professor type person, but we have quite a high IQ and we can be quite intelligent in that way. What we do struggle with, which is the next trait, is social skills. So we may struggle with things such as eye contact, maintaining a conversation for a set period of time, and again it all ties in because it ties in with the anxiety, meltdowns, and everything pretty much. So if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend its entire life believing it's stupid, which is a quote from Albert Einstein. And again, what that basically means is, every single person learns differently. I would say Asperger's and autism is a different ability, a different way of thinking, and I believe that with the right skills and support out there, we can achieve anything, and we can do anything, anything we put our minds to. I feel like our greatest disability and our greatest problem is people's ignorance towards us. So if I can request anything throughout Autism Awareness Month this April, is to just understand more about Asperger's and get to know the person on the spectrum, and then you'll realise just how amazing we can be and the great things that we can do. So those are a lot of the general traits of Asperger's. There's probably a lot more that I've missed, but I would also say there's also a lot of girls that are on the spectrum, a lot of females which are quite overlooked, which it shouldn't be the case. And it's not the fact that more males are on the spectrum, it's the fact that more men are diagnosed, because the people originally um, working with autism, when it was first being discovered, they were mainly focusing on boys and men. So that's why a lot of the traits for men are not understood. And there are differences between how Asperger's and autism affects men and how they affects women, but I won't get into that today, because I think that's worth another video all in itself. But maybe take into consideration some of the topics that I've talked about today, and I hope maybe you can apply them to yourself, your children, and anyone else that you may know that's got Asperger's. Also, consider sharing this video if you want others to know more about our condition. But I hope everybody has a brilliant, brilliant Autism Awareness Month and Autism Awareness Month and Autism Acceptance Month. There we go, I can talk. So, see everyone later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.